Hi, and thanks for coming to watch this video from Carolina Varsity. We are going to take a look at a 4AA third round matchup with Vance going over to play Butler.
Well, you got the clash of the Titans here. First off, unsung heroes for both teams. For Butler, it's linebacker Anthony McGill. I saw this kid live last week, man. I tell you, he is fast on defense and really fast on offense, too. Caught a touchdown pass, had a couple of nice solo tackles. He's an impressive player. And for Vance, you hear a lot about Kingsley Effetti. You hear about Jeremiah Hall. But the guy on the outside, Michael Roberts, is their leading receiver in terms of numbers of catches on the year. I know he's in the 60s. You got the exact stats over there. But he's a big, tall kid. Physical, can go up and get the football and jump ball situations. He's a really joy to watch play football. And I remember him from last year at Berry. And he's come over to Vance and really been a key cog in that offense.
You mentioned McGill, so I just thought I'd throw his stats out. 106 tackles on the season, 68 solo. He's had 12 tackles for loss on the season, and looks like he's had 10 pass breakups. So he's had a pretty good season, and you wanted the stats for Roberts are right there in front of you if you want to.
Look at that. 62 catches, 1,158 yards, and 13 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Any other team, he'd be the number one star. But, Vance has got so many, you want to give him a little praise and tell the world what a good job he's done this season.
Last week in the Myers Park game, on Periscope, there were several people that kept saying, throw it to 8. Throw it to 8. They need to go to 8 this time. 8, 8, 8. He is, by the way, number 8.
So last week, Butler knocked off the three-time defending state champion Mallard Creek Mavericks 42-28, while it took overtime for Vance to defeat Myers Park on the road 41-38. And you start looking at this game on the field for the Butler offense, you got to be needy and not greedy. I'm going to anticipate Vance trying to take away the big play after you saw them go over the top a lot last week. And they got to take the underneath and intermediate throws that they're going to give you. In the run game, they got to continue to be multiple in formation and where they attack, and account for the multiple blitzes Vance will throw at you, especially in the interior of their defense. And you got to find Darian Reynolds and account for him on every play. Shrine Bolton, linebacker, very good player. Defensively for Butler, they're going to face a much more vertical attack. Mallard Creek will throw the fade, but that's really all you're going to get. And now, being vertical, it's going to have to start with getting the pressure on Kingsley Effetti on tough passing situations. And you got to keep him from getting outside in the zone read game or the direct run game that Vance likes to run. Hall's going to be a tough matchup, but you can't allow Roberts and Carr to beat you outside over the top. You got to limit their options on offense and make them nickel and dime you. Don't give them the big play. So conversely for Vance, it's going to be tough running inside, so maybe some misdirection stuff with some zone read stuff they like to run. And some outside runs would be more of a focus for Vance than anything else. Also, I think you spread these guys out. Sideline to sideline speed for Butler is very good in the linebacking core. And if you're in a lot of closed formations, they're too good. They're going to run stuff down if you're trying to get outside from a closed formation. They got a size advantage on the outside with Roberts and Hall. But I think Butler's going to run more two-deep coverage given the way Vance likes to push the ball down the field. So then you got Hall in the middle of the field. That's going to be a big mismatch, and that's going to be tough for Butler to stop. I think Vance has a huge advantage right there. Defensively, for Vance, you got to choose. Are you going to play coverage or are you going to blitz? You see the way Butler torched Mallard Creek one-on-one in coverage last week. But if you're Vance, you got to be who you are. They're not a big zone coverage team, so you got to let your athletes play and, man up and hope for the best. Myers Park had big success in the air last week, so Butler's probably going to look to emulate that. The challenge is Butler's a lot better at the run, and that makes it real tough if you're an advanced defense. Just looking at it, I think if it was me, I'd play 6 in the box, make Butler a run-first team, and you got to tackle well in space. The ends have to really work hard to keep outside leverage on the sweeps and the boots rollouts that Cheek was running last week. And this is just a tough matchup for the Vance defense here going against the Butler offense. I know that's a lot, but There's a lot that goes into this game. Two very good coaching staffs.
Yeah, the first thing I'll just throw out is the reports throwing out a 46-36 final. And I've posted a lot in the forums already on it as to how this game's going to go down, or what we see here. And for me, I've kind of looked at things as far as who Vance has faced and the types of quarterbacks that they faced and how those quarterbacks have hurt them. And if you look at last week, what you had was a quarterback that really can sit in the pocket and pick apart any defense. He's one of the best quarterbacks. Very underrated, I think.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
We're talking about Davidson at Myers Park. He's a very underrated quarterback. He doesn't really hurt you with your feet so much, so Vance doesn't have to worry about that too much in that ball game. But he was able to pick apart and find his receivers. Now, he has some good receivers to throw to, and obviously Butler's got good receivers as well. I don't know if as from a was looking at this from a passing perspective. I don't believe that this will be the toughest challenge from passing that Vance has seen this year. I really think that would have been West Mecklenburg. The X factor is the fact that Butler can run the ball, and that's where the whole dynamic changes. And just looking at some stats, Peoples has 1,259 yards, 25 TDs. That's not a huge amount of yardage. Certainly not, where some of the backs are, but still, it's you got a good back, as we know.
That's a good average for that offense.
Yeah. So, for Vance, they're going to have to be able to handle the multi-dimension. What is Butler going to run next? And that's what I said. With Myers Park, it was almost, you knew they were going to throw, and they mixed some runs in, but there wasn't a lot of mix of run in, right? Because that's not what Myers Park could do well against Vance. The coaches there obviously saw some things they felt like it could exploit, and they exploited them. With this game, each play could be different. You can run or pass, and they can do most in most situations. I won't say all situations. Obviously, there are certain down situations, that distance down, that you're going to throw. You're not going to run. But a lot of those situations where they're kind of mid, that mid offering of somewhere in that 3 to 5 range, Butler can run on those. So those are things that you don't just drop back and say they're going to throw. So I think that puts a lot of extra work on that defense and how they're going to handle that.
I totally agree.
I think Vance on the offensive side and Butler on the defensive side, Dixon's going to be the guy that they're going to have to worry about most. He can make plays. He makes.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere. He's. Oh gosh, he's 172 tackles on the season.
Good gracious.
Yeah, might be. I don't know, but that's probably one of the highest tackle totals in Mecklenburg County. Not everybody's sharing their stats, but that's a lot of tackles. I know. Even with this many games, that's still a lot of tackles. So they're going to have to account for him. That's going to be the big deal. And I think offensively, Fetty, that's a tough guy to account for. He's as I was thinking about this earlier, I was thinking, really what he is when I saw Creek Program post about run first. Fetty's, I've not seen him be run first. He's pass first. But as I got to thinking about that, he's Cam Newton. He was a Cam Newton in high school football. Because
that's high praise right there, boy.
And I mean that in the fact of how Cam Newton plays.
Right.
So Cam's a passer. I think Fetty at the high school level is a better passer than Cam is at the pro level. That's not negative to either one, but I think he, obviously at the pro level you got so many good DBs and defensive linemen coming at you, and if you're Cam Newton, you're laying on your back a lot. At least he was Sunday. But Fetty can also hurt you because he's a big guy, and he can run, and he runs with the same reckless abandon that Cam runs with. He runs to to gain yardage and score. He's a hard runner, so that's a hard guy to kind of handle. He's not your typical roll out, am I going to pass or run, dual threat kind of quarterback. So I think that's a tough one. And really the X factor is how will they play Hall?
Yeah. That's. I think he's a huge mismatch.
Yeah,
I really do. You might see a matchup. Now the Butler linebackers can run with him, but he's so big. That's the challenge. But yeah, they use Hall down in the goal line, especially when they put him in at running back. And yeah, he's a big, strong runner. And if they got him at tight end, I think he can be an advantage there too. Because I really anticipate Butler going too deep, and that opens up the middle of the field. And even if Dixon and McGill and maybe Cusick at safety comes down and matches up with him, he's still got a size advantage.
yeah.
And Fetty, I know, trust him. He can just put it on him, and he might just run somebody over or go up and get it or whatever.
Right.
He's a heck of a player.
Yeah, he is the X factor, how they might use him. And I really think you might see him lining up in the backfield some. I have not been told that. If I had, I wouldn't share it. So I'm just making an assumption of some things I would do that would be different. He has done that. Several Vance games that I have attended over the last couple of years, they line him up back there and hand him the ball. And like I say, that's his position. He can also line up split and in a slot and run down the field. And he's got the speed. He outran. There's a nice set of pictures I've got from the game Friday night where he caught a ball and he actually, open field runner, broke away from people. So he's a big guy with speed, not afraid to go up over the middle and catch the ball,
Right.
which is what you're saying. So that's how well that plays out might be the difference for Vance in this ball game. And also, I would not be surprised to see him show up on defense because they're going to need some help on defense. And as good of an athlete as he is and the size he's got to be a hell of a linebacker.
Yeah, you would think so.
So,
and you don't make it complicated either. It's like see ball, get ball.
Exactly. There you go. This is your responsibility. Wherever the ball goes, you go. So I think there's a lot of factors there that should factor into a good ball game.
I think it will be a very good game.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be up in the upper 30s to 40s, just like the report says. I mean, honestly, if Myers Park can put that many points and West Meck puts, upper 30s, and why can't Butler? That was my question. So, what is Vance going to do defensively that they haven't done all season that's going to change that?
That's the big question here.
Right.
That's the big question. And I think you're going to get double coverage. I know he'll be there. I'll be there.
Yep.
Brandon will probably be there. Triple coverage.
Triple coverage, exactly. Hopefully you guys will be there. It should be a good ball game.
The parking lot opens at 5:30. Tickets going to sell at 6. Game time 7:30. I was there last week. Get there early. I'm telling you. There was standing room only last week. I was so glad to see it. So glad to see people come out and support Charlotte playoff football. That's the way it should be every week.